Okay, so moving forward, we will have one more question that we want to address tonight, and that's this idea of Twitter is referred to as a microblog, and this implies that Twitter and blogs are related. In what ways? Do they work the same way for all three functions discussed in the video clip that we watched last week in the example of aggregating, filtering, and connecting? Who would like to start us off on this? Jeff?
Oh, Jeff.
Well, I think there's a little bit of difference in the two. The idea of aggregation of ideas through blogs is a lot simpler. Using something like Diigo or any other aggregator, you can go ahead and actually pull the information that you want to the blog. And you can actually just jump out to that information at any time off of your aggregator. It becomes a pretty manageable process. Things like Twitter and so on are probably more problematic on the surface of things and require a little bit more thinking, right? In order to be able to actually aggregate information on a microblog like Twitter, you need to come up with some patterns. And for me, aggregating, I do through hashtags. Lots of times I'll use Twitter at conferences to get an idea of the back channel conversation. Right? It's really, really helpful to do that because we go ahead and use a hashtag, and then all the conversation around that conversation that presenter is happens behind the scenes. I'm really waiting for the day for presenters to start to watch that back channel so that they're actually responding to it as they're speaking, and that's when we're really going to get a really cool conversation happening in a presentation. As far as then go ahead and filtering data, I do that through I have as my friends. The only friends that I have that I make use of my Twitter account for are all educators. And I know the conversation that they're going to be having is around kind of what we call 21st century learning, and it scares me to use that term, but that kind of idea. So I can filter by ensuring that the people that I have in my network are going to give a conversation that I'm interested in. So that's kind of the filtering process that I use. The connection is awesome through either of them. By using regular blogs, by following blogs, you start to connect with people that think like you. And connections through the microblogging like Twitter is very powerful because you can go ahead and look and follow person's trains of thought, find some piece that actually matches up to what you want to know about, and then go ahead and reach out to them. You know, you can directly connect to them through Twitter. Probably last month, I found a lady online that was doing some video conferencing pieces on philosophy. So her information was on Twitter. I connected with her, and then we carried on the conversation through Skype. She's in Great Britain, so we carried on the conversations through Skype. So it's workable.
Anyways, so we can use the hashtags that I've given down in the chat line. So the number sign EDUC4703 and number sign AEDT1120. If you both search for those particular hashtags and or include them in your messages, you will be immediately filtering the kind of information that you're going to be looking for. So what should happen is that anything that has those hashtags in it should be specifically applicable to the courses that are indicated in the hashtags themselves. The other part of this is that there is a tool called TweetDeck that allows you to actually set up multiple searches for specific hashtags and or people, depending on how you want to actually do it. And they separate all of those particular pieces with those hashtags or those people's postings into separate columns. And I should probably show people that particular application at some point in time, because all it does is just filter for you in ways that you want, and you can do it on the fly. So you can define columns and then change them as you want, etc. It's very, very useful. The third part of the formula, aggregating, filtering, and connecting, is the most difficult piece because computers can't do it. They cannot connect ideas to people. They cannot connect ideas to ideas. They just don't understand any of that stuff. So we need to make use of our higher order thinking skills to make those connections. And that's why going through this process of aggregating, filtering, and connecting, which is the only thing that we can do with the information that's bombarding us on a regular basis. That's where the why comes in, Katie. We have to make use of these kinds of processes, and the sooner we get on to processing through the computer to allow us to make sense of the information, that will draw us away from the tendency that I know some of us have of putting a search into Google and then looking at the first top 5 responses that come, and that's as far as we get. Sorry, folks, it's not good enough. That says nothing.
The thing that's important to me is it takes you into that social competency, right? And so we're using the computer and extending our capabilities with it. So it's a higher order thinking process using a tool for the 21st century. So that calculator piece from 1985, that conversation we've already had about that, transfers for here, and we start having our computer enabled to gather information for us, which it does a really good job of, but we're going to go ahead and extend the capabilities of what technology can do. So Jonas and Mind Tools kind of launches
so we're
right out
learning
of
with
there.
computers, not just from.
Right.
Excellent. Well, this was an excellent conversation, so thank you everyone for your thoughts.